50,000 men marched into the desert. Soldiers, priests, servants, an entire army. And then they vanished. No graves, no bones, no survivors, just silence and sand. Some say the gods erased them for their pride. Others say the desert itself devoured them. But this is no myth. This is the story of the army that disappeared from history and left behind a mystery older than empires. Now listen to the story of the Lost Army of Cambyses. But before we begin, if you love stories where history feels alive, where the past still whispers through dust and fire, then make sure you're subscribed, because this is just one of many forgotten tales the world tried to bury. Thank you. The year is 524 BCE. The Persian Empire, vast, unstoppable, stretches from the Indus River to the Nile. At its throne sits Cambyses II, son of Cyrus the Great, a man born in the shadow of greatness and desperate to outshine it. But ambition has no patience. When word reaches Cambyses that the Oracle of Amun in Egypt mocks his rule, calling him unworthy to conquer the lands of the pharaohs, he burns with rage. He swears an oath before his generals. He will silence the oracle. He will destroy the temple. And he will march his army across the Libyan desert to prove that not even the gods can defy him. And so, the great march begins. The sun rises over the Persian camp, an ocean of tents, banners, and men. 50,000 strong. They cross the Nile, their bronze armor glinting like fire beneath the dawn. The priests of Egypt warn them. They speak of spirits that haunt the dunes, storms that swallow whole caravans. But Cambyses laughs. He believes himself a god among men, and gods do not fear the wind. Days pass. The sand stretches endlessly. The heat burns the horizon until it shimmers like molten glass. Men stumble. Water skins empty. The desert offers no mercy, only silence. At first, they march in order. Then, in clusters. Then, in chaos. Their voices fade beneath the wind. And yet Cambyses presses them on, deeper into the wasteland, toward the temple that cursed his name. Then one morning, the desert changes. The air feels heavy. The wind stops. An eerie stillness falls across the dunes. And then, from the south, it begins. A wall of sand rises on the horizon, higher than any mountain. It roars like thunder, a storm of the gods. Men scream. Horses rear. The sky goes dark. Within moments, the entire army vanishes in a storm so violent it buries them alive. 50,000 souls swallowed whole. When the storm passes, nothing remains. No bodies, no banners, only an ocean of sand, stretching endlessly beneath a merciless sun. But the story doesn't end there, because the desert remembers. Centuries later, travelers claim to find shields half buried in the dunes, bronze weapons gleaming beneath the sun, human bones tangled in cloth turned to dust. Each discovery whispers the same question. What really happened to Cambyses' army? The Greek historian Herodotus, writing a century later, tells the tale in trembling words. He says the army was consumed by the wrath of the gods, punished for daring to defy the Oracle of Amun. But others believe a different truth, that the soldiers never reached Siwa at all, that they rebelled, turned on each other, or were ambushed by nomads who buried them where they fell. That Cambyses, in his madness, sent them to die for his pride. Still no proof, no certainty, only whispers carried by the wind. For thousands of years, the desert kept its secret until the 20th century. That's when archaeologists began searching for the truth. They scoured the western desert, chasing legends, following fragments of bones and arrowheads. One explorer swore he found the site. He described skeletons fused to rusted armor, half buried beneath dunes that moved like waves. But before he could reveal it to the world, his expedition vanished. Lost, just like the army he sought. Was it coincidence? Or curse? Maybe both. Because every time men go looking for Cambyses' lost soldiers, something happens. Equipment fails. Storms rise out of nowhere. Sand covers the tracks again, as if the desert itself refuses to give them up. The truth may never be known, but perhaps that's the point. Cambyses wanted to prove he could conquer gods. Instead, he became their warning. His army erased. His legacy buried beneath the sands of time. Only the wind still speaks their names. And sometimes, when it howls across the dunes of Egypt, they say you can still hear it. The echo of 50,000 men, marching forever. For over 2,000 years, the desert kept its secret. No bones, no swords, no trace of the 50,000 men who vanished into its heart. But in the last century, men returned to find them. Archaeologists, explorers, soldiers of science. And one by one, the desert took them too. In 1936, an Italian explorer named Count Laszlo Almasi, the man who would later inspire the English patient, stands before a vast, dune sea known as the Great Sand Sea of Egypt. He had read Herodotus. He knows the legend, and he believes he's found the route of Cambyses' doomed march. He looks across the horizon and whispers, "If they died here, the desert still keeps their bones." For weeks, his expedition crawls across the dunes, engines choking, compasses failing, water running low. Then, one morning, Almasi's men find something strange half buried in the sand. A bronze dagger, its hilt worn smooth by centuries. Nearby, fragments of bone. They dig, and dig, and dig. But then, a storm rises from nowhere. Within hours, the camp is buried. Tents ripped apart. Supplies gone. When Almasi finally escapes, he returns home with only a few relics and a haunted silence. He never spoke of the bones again. Decades pass. The mystery sleeps again until the 1980s. In the burning deserts west of Luxor, Professor Orsola de Benedetti leads a new expedition. She's armed with technology, maps, and faith in modern science. Her goal? To find proof that Cambyses' army truly existed. Weeks into her journey, her team discovers ancient Persian arrowheads, broken amphorae, and fused pieces of armor, scattered in patterns, as if dropped during a march. The trail seems real, the legend within reach. But then, her camp is hit by a massive sandstorm. Equipment destroyed, vehicles swallowed. When the storm clears, half the site is gone, erased overnight. She calls off the dig. Her final words to the press: "Some things are meant to stay buried." But not everyone listens. In 2009, twin brothers, Angelo and Alfredo Castiglione, Italian archaeologists, claim they've found what no one else could. Using satellite imaging and ancient trade maps, they identify a remote valley near Siwa Oasis, filled with shards of pottery and arrowheads. They dig deeper. They uncover Persian jewelry, iron weapons, and human remains tangled in what seems to be armor. It looks like proof, the first tangible evidence of the Lost Army. The discovery shakes the world. News outlets call it the greatest archaeological find since Tutankhamun. But Egypt's government reacts cautiously. They demand secrecy. No one is allowed to visit the site again. The brothers release their photos and then vanish from the archaeological spotlight. No further excavations are allowed. No official confirmation. Just silence. So what really happened to Cambyses' army? 3 theories stand at the edge of reason. First, that the desert killed them. A massive sandstorm, a sirocco, could have buried thousands alive in hours, leaving no trace. Second, that they never made it to Siwa. That they turned back or were slaughtered by Libyan tribes long before they reached the temple. And third, the one no scientist dares to voice aloud, that they did reach the Oracle of Amun. And that what happened next was something the desert was never meant to reveal. According to Egyptian legend, when Cambyses' soldiers approached the sacred temple, the priests invoked the wrath of Amun, the god of hidden things. The skies darkened, the sands rose, the invaders were wiped from existence. An ancient curse, a divine punishment, or simply nature's cruelest trick. But in every version, one detail remains the same. The army never returned. Even now, scientists and adventurers still search. They come with drones, scanners, and satellites. And yet, nothing definitive ever surfaces. Every expedition faces the same fate. Equipment fails, storms rise, and the sands shift again, covering their tracks as if time itself is protecting a secret. It's as if the desert is alive, guarding its victims. Cambyses, the king who defied gods, would die years later, not in battle, but in disgrace, wounded by his own blade on his way back from Egypt. His empire fractured. His name became a whisper. And his army? It became legend. A story told by firelight. A warning carved in wind. A reminder that even kings disappear when they challenge the gods. If you enjoy this story, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Also ensure to check out other interesting videos on this channel. Thank you.